What's up, guys? Back in news here with the Fosters, Season 5, Episode 16, Giving Up the Ghost. Okay, so this episode let's talk this episode starts off with the roller derby team, and Mariana, Emma, and Poppy all roller derby, and they're like, hey, Mariana and Emma, and all the other Tramasitas, you have joined the roller derby team. And Mariana is basically happy, and Emma mentions an internship at Steam that she's basically going to take an internship because her college counselor is like, hey, Mariana, maybe instead of taking a college, you should reapply for Steam. So Mariana applies for Emma's internship and tells Steph about what Tess said to her, about threatening her to keep Logan away from her if she said anything about Tess being lesbian. So yeah, so basically Tess is, so she's like, hey, Logan's coming over for a study date. So Logan and Logan comes over and basically overhears Steph and Lena talking about how so Lena's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm gonna go talk to Steph, and she's like, no, you're not. You're not talking to Tess about anything. And she's like, Tess is dragging our family through all of it, and Lena's like, you're letting yourself be dragged. And she's like, no, I'm not. And then Logan over here Lena say, why do you care if Tess is a lesbian? So, and Lena's basically like, hey, why couldn't you keep your voice down? I told you Logan was coming over. After he found his mom was a lesbian, he looked like he just got a gut punch, and he told me he had to go home. So yeah. So anyway, so hearing that Logan's upset, of course, instead of leaving it alone, that her son's upset or doing something, Lena or Tess goes over to Emma Foster and says, hey, I want to talk to Steph, and she's like, no, and then he's like, crap, no, you're not talking to my wife, you're not talking to anyone, we're dealing with our own problems right now. Just keep your side on your side. Just keep your problem on your side of the fence. If you want to come out, that's your problem. Keep yourself on your side of the fence. And Tess just goes walking out like tail between her legs or something, and basically that's Tess's last appearance of the show. Yeah. Tess's last appearance wasn't that all that. Now let's talk about something that's not kind of eventful. Grace and Brandon, because their storyline, in my opinion, is just not the greatest. I'm sorry, I just don't like their plot in this episode, but I have to talk about it. Okay, anyway, Brandon and Grace are performing with someone's little sister, which, of course, we will never get to see because even though it would be cool to see someone's little sister again, this is just an off-screen gig. But Brandon comes home, but he goes to Grace's house and said to Grace, and Grace says, hey, her ghost is back. And he's like, is this about the gig? Is this why you're making this up? Like, do you hear me, guys? This is the most boring storyline ever. They couldn't have picked a better storyline for Grace. And I just don't like the storyline. I may be the only person who doesn't like it. I just think this is a little boring part. Grace and Brandon deal with Grace's ghost and do some stuff to get it to go away, and it's just like, they could have done better. Anyway, let's move on to Cali, because basically Cali is the only interesting stuff in this episode. Because with June in this episode, June and Cali are in this episode. So Cali and Jude go to Donald's girlfriend's house, and basically because Jude didn't want to go. Because Jude didn't want to go alone, and he wanted Callie to go with him. So, yeah, so he wanted Callie to go with him. So, yeah. I'll talk about the roller derby stuff after. There's more like roller derby stuff, but right now, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Callie and G go over to Donald's house, and Donald, and Callie says Callie gets a thing from UCSD saying she's not going to the program, and yeah. So anyway, yeah. So yeah. So anyway, what happened? So anyway, Callie and Donald talks. Callie talks how Jude is a gamer, how this company pays him money and all this stuff. Company pays him money, and company pays him money, and yeah. So anyway, so Caleb, Nally's son, is like, hey, he knew they were gamers, but he didn't know there were gay gamers out there. He knew they were gamers, but he weren't. They were gay gamers. And Jude's like, Donald didn't tell you he was gay. Didn't tell Caleb Jude was gay. And he's like, no. And then slideshow shows up of Caleb, Donald, and Nally in Hawaii. And so yeah. So anyway, Callie and Jude are talking, and Callie's like, I didn't get to UCSD, but I might go to Portland. And who's hearing this? Jude kind of off screen, because when Natalie comes in, they're like, have you seen Jude? And she's like, no, I thought he was in the house. She's like, no, he's gone. So Callie basically is like, hey, Jude, that's rude, just leaving Natalie's house without permission. And he's like, hey, I heard you and Donald talk on the porch, and Donald even has Donald had another family without us. He never told us that he had another family. And Callie's like, hey, we learned not to rely on Donald years ago. And he's like, hey, I heard you were going to Portland. And she's like, hey, just go back to the car. And he's like, no, I'll just walk alone. I need some air. So yeah. So anyway, after talking with Callie later, Jude goes sitting down. Callie's like, hey Jude, she'll still come over and all that stuff. And so anyway, yes. Donald goes to Jude, and he's like, Jude goes to Donald and like, hey, why didn't you tell Caleb he was gay? And he's like, hey, it wasn't his choice it wasn't his decision to tell him. And he's like, okay, and they basically make up. So let's talk about the Mariana and Derby thing. So, continue. So anyway, after Emma telling Mariana about the STEM thing, Mariana applied for the same internship at Emma, and Emma basically isn't happy. She's like, did I see? I came looking for something, and I saw you applying for the internship. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, the college can't only thing I apply to. And she's like, you can't. And she's like, why? And she's like, because I'm applying for it. And she's like, two students get in. And she's like, and she's like, wouldn't that be cool? And she's like, that'd be out of a lot of people. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, why are you applying? And she's like, because I'm the one who told, because Emma said she's the one who told you that. And she's like, Joey's mind thing, he basically took that from me. She's like, that's different. And he just comes in, and she's like, where were you? And he's like, I told Emma's like, where were you? You were supposed to come over to help her with the robot. And he's like, oh crap, I was helping Poppy try out for her jammer tryout, and she's like, fine. I guess I need your help today, but I guess I'm not a priority anyway, and leaves. So anyway, Mariana and Poppy and Emma and Mariana and Poppy all race, and Mariana's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm trying to prove that you, because I can't be a part of something just because you are. And basically during the race, Mariana pushes Mariana, and she's like, what the crap, Emma? And basically, yeah. So Jesus is basically mad at Emma, and she's like, and Poppy's mad, and she's like, and Mariana's like, what about, what was that? She's like, Mariana can go for her thing, why can't I? And she's like, this isn't about Mariana and Emma, this is about Poppy. Poppy was really looking for Jammer, and you basically just took it from her. So Emma, not my favorite anymore, and yeah, so anyway, Emma's like, hey, I'm sorry, I think Poppy deserves the Jammer, and Emma's basically like, yeah, Poppy shouldn't get what she shouldn't get what she doesn't deserve. We are a team full of badasses. We protect our people. Don't feel sad. So anyway, yeah. So and Poppy's like, and she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, and Poppy's like, yeah, you are. Still mad at Poppy. So anyway, so this episode is I think it's not my least favorite episode of the season, and it's Giving Up the Ghost. Cause Brandon I liked it. I just didn't like Brady Grist's storyline. Their storyline was pretty boring based on their Walk to Remember storyline where they do the whole great going for leukemia thing. It's kind of interesting, but this episode just isn't. I did not like this episode. All people may have a different opinion, but this episode isn't my favorite. And I'm sorry, it isn't, but it isn't. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next The Fosters.